Good morning and welcome back to Transsexual Sunday. I am Diana Salami, your hostess today. You know the spiel. Well, we're not here to groom anybody. We're just here telling our stories. What our lives have been. In some cases happy, in some cases sad. But it's our lives. So if you're not over the age of 18, you need to click it off. Well, today I have had a lot of requests for me to talk about my last marriage. And I have made a couple of videos where I've discussed it. So I really didn't care to go back into that too awfully quick. But recently my ex-mother-in-law passed away. So I thought I'll do this video in remembrance of her. Of course, I've never done anything like this and putting on hijab on camera, so I don't know how that looks. I thought since I'm discussing her, I would be what I would think she would think would be decent. And you think, oh, I can't believe she would try to pretend that they could wear stuff like this in the Middle East on the streets. But believe me, they do. And I did. I even had a long animal print dress that I wore. I wore makeup. They wanted me to wear makeup. Well, everybody wore makeup. Except for my mother-in-law. But the younger women, they wore makeup. Oh. From the moment that woman laid eyes on me, she hated my guts. Everybody else was sitting there smiling and being nice, and she's back there. Because she had no idea we were coming. She had no idea. I'm gonna have to fix this and come back because I'm not used to it looking like this. But burn, baby, burn. Well, I've done this the best I could with this little sheer stuff. But over there, this is about what they do. They do have hijab sets that are made in two pieces. They're made out of, stretchy fabric. One goes over your head this way, and then the other one comes this way. Makes it real easy. But a lot of the people still wear just regular scarves. They have them. But the young people wear those sets. My mother-in-law, she always wore scarves. Well, when my husband asked me to marry him, we had known each other over 2 years. He had already flown me to Germany twice to make sure that it's what we wanted. I was concerned that there were 12 years difference in our ages. I had went through a bad marriage, and I didn't want to go through that again. And he knew everything. I thought I knew everything. He had a condition that he had a very low sperm count and other things that were going on because his parents were double first cousins. So there was a lot of birth defects within his family. And I told him, I said, now, I know how Muslims are. Your family are going to want you to have children. He says, but I can't. The doctor says I can't. And I don't even like kids. And he did not act like he liked kids. And that irritated him. And he said he did not want to marry an Arab woman. As you see, he had left home at 18 and moved to Germany. He'd been there over 15 years. In 15 years, he had went back home to the Middle East twice. So he was westernized in the way he lived, in the way he thought, in the way he wanted to live. But he told me, this is where his lies started coming in. He told me that his family knew we were coming to get married. That trip was hard. We left from Germany, flew to Istanbul. We had to stay in Istanbul a day before we could fly over to Amman, Jordan. So when we did fly in, I was so worn out. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I get outside the airport and I'm thinking, well, where's his family? Where is everybody? He said, oh, they're at the house. We get to the house. He bangs and bangs and bangs on the door. Finally, everybody comes out. They had no idea we were coming. They had no idea I was even in the picture. And they weren't even expecting him. They had no idea. But they were all excited to see him and to see me and to find out he was getting married, and all except his mother. She stood back there like, can you imagine how I felt? Worn out from traveling. Automatically realizing I had been lied to. Them people had to put me in a bad situation. So she started hating me from the get-go. Not because she was pegging me as being trans. She was pegging me as being a woman older than her son that probably was beyond childbearing years, and there'd be no baby. That's all she focused on. And she made it very obvious how she felt about me. She would say all the right things, but then that look would let you know it was all fake. Because she ran her household. She was the boss. She was the queen bee. Yeah. It became miserable with her. First, they wouldn't let my dog, my poodle, that I was told by my husband to bring to keep me company. So if anybody has ever traveled with pets, you realize most countries you go into, to keep them from having to be quarantined, you've got to have all kind of paperwork. A lot of things from the doctors and stuff. You know, the veterinarian has to sign papers that all these tests have been done, and it was hard traveling, kennel cages, and they were going to tell me that my mother-in-law said the dog could not come in the house. It was haram. Haram is a word she used a whole lot for meaning it's not allowed. In Islam, it's not allowed. If there's dogs in the house, the angels will not come in. I said, I'm fixing to sleep. The dog is going to sleep with me. And those angels can stay outside until I wake up. So I threw my first full fit. An old transsexual woman. Did y'all think you think she's all so good? She thinks she's so much better than everybody? I was the same way there. They could have cut my head off and I didn't care. I said, either that dog comes in here and sleeps with me, or she and I are taking our luggage and going back to that airport, and we're going back home. Because I didn't come over here for this. And they brought the dog in. And by the time I woke up, they had us an apartment to move into, because the apartment I was promised by my husband, it was on the ground floor. It was in the family house. It's like a big apartment complex, but it's all from the family. But they didn't know we were coming, so they had rented my husband's apartment. Everybody had their own apartments to use when they needed it. But normal people would have let a family know in advance enough to get that apartment empty. It wasn't. So we had to quickly be put into an apartment a couple blocks away, in a basement apartment owned by this doctor from Syria. We found out later on the apartment had been used for prostitutes. Oh, honey. Hidden in a closet, I found all kind of prophylactics and makeup and sexy clothes, and I found the stuff I know that was from prostitutes. And then when I was cleaning out, I found old used rubbers between the bed and the wall, stuck in there. So we knew exactly what it was used for. And I petitioned to get those people out of our apartment so we could move over there. Well, it happened. It took several months for that to happen. I had to live in that basement apartment. And I had to stay with the dog a lot, because when I would leave, she would howl. She would just cry and cry the whole time. And they'd have to call us for me to come back over there and sit with the dog, because everybody over there would freak out, because they don't have dogs over there. They have 10 zillion cats, but no dogs. So there we went with that deal. So finally they got our apartment done. on the ground floor. And it kind of around the side, there was an iron gate all around the property. I guess a cement block wall up about 8 or so foot, and then broken glass glued up there. All the windows had bars on them so people couldn't break in. There's some rough people over there. And there was a bomb shelter over there. And they had a walkway that went through it, and then flower beds and stuff. Well, my husband had talked to my mother-in-law and letting me have that flower garden area, because I love to work with flowers. It was my pastime, and I have been looking forward to that. So she had told, during this whole process of getting this apartment ready for us, that would be my private garden over there. So I spent a lot of my money to have contractors to come in to paint and to hang draperies and do floor coverings, and I had to buy everything, all the appliances and everything, computers, computer desks, bedroom sets, parlor sets, everything. I had to buy all that. And I had fun picking it out and decorating, making sure everything was like I like it, because that's my hobby. That's what I do. I like to make a home. Well, that very first night we were there, movers had moved stuff in. I'd placed everything. And I had went out with my dog, Princess, beautiful silver poodle. And she had put her head out the third-story window and looked down and seen that I was in that garden with my dog. And I'm presuming she saw the dog use the bathroom, because all of a sudden, after I seen her head sticking out, she started screaming for my husband. She was demanding the key back for that garden, so that I couldn't go in there. That I could not take my dog in there. Well, my actual instinct was to whoop her ass. I thought, bitch, you think that you are the queen of this castle. But down here in this apartment, I'm the queen. And I would definitely not spend my money on redoing this apartment if I had known you were going to pull this shit. So I really wanted to throw her out the window. I didn't speak to her for a long time. Now, I didn't ever speak friendly to her. I was cordial to her. I showed her respect, but I didn't like her. She didn't like me, and we actually had very little to say to one another. We spoke through my husband. She always stood back from the group. Everybody else would be talking to me and touching me and being sweet to me and interacting with me. She'd be behind everybody. So I knew exactly how she felt about me, and I felt the same way about her. But because my husband, I didn't want to cause problems, but I always made sure she did not run my show. She wanted to be a smart ass about when I was decorating my front parlor and all the wood and everything that I had worked so hard to find the furniture that I wanted, and it was mahogany. The wood work on the furniture was mahogany. And she's gonna come in there with this set of stack tables that was some kind of maple or something. She knew good and well all the times I had went looking for that furniture. She knew. She wasn't stupid. Even though she cracked on it. It wasn't her money. It was my money. And it was not my husband's money because it was from my bank account that I made from having my estate auction. So I was making my life comfortable. But honey, she progressively tried her best to make my life miserable. But we were planning to stay there. That was our plan. By then we were talking about eventually moving out and opening a business we had been discussing, he and I. But that wasn't her plan. Her plan was for us to be there and let her run our lives. Well, she had one daughter-in-law there that had been there since her kids were babies, and the oldest one was in the 2nd grade when I was there. And her dream had been to get away from that woman. She had had so many run-ins with her through the years. But she had control over her. Until after my father-in-law passed away from complications due to a traffic accident, a wreck. As soon as her husband got his inheritance, his wife said, either you take that money and buy us a house across town, away from this woman, or I'm taking my kids and going back to Palestine. I'm not putting up with it anymore. And he did. Oh, that sent my mother-in-law into a tizzy. That's when she decided she had to have my husband. We were living here in the United States, living our lives, been here 18 years, working, planning. We'd worked so hard to build perfect credit because we were going to open our own convenience store. That's what he liked to do. He was good at it. He had a really sharp mind when it came to money and that kind of thing. Well, his mother was not going to hear for that. The way it started, this was a couple of months after his father died. About the time that the daughter-in-law was getting her family out of there, she gets my husband to come back because she'd been diagnosed again with her cancer. It was come back. She'd had it 20 years before and had breast removed, but she claimed it was come back. Plus, she needed him to help take care of some of the estate things. He was the oldest son. So, he went up. You do what you got to do. I knew I didn't want to go. That was totally out. I didn't ever want to go back. Well, that time just kept going on and on and on and on. He was there for 9 months. She just kept it on and on and on. What I didn't know, during that time, she done found him a second wife and had took him to Palestine and introduced them and then informed them that they were getting married. Well, she held the purse strings. His father had been worth a lot of money. So the lie continued to me. But in reality, he got married and was trying to have a family. But what was in his mind was to try his best to get her pregnant so he could come home. Not just so much for me, but for the life we had, for the job he had, for the friends he had. He missed all that. And whenever she realized that he was fixing to bring himself back to the United States, she had her grandson send me an email to tell me that she found him a second wife to make him happy and have him kids, and he was there happily trying to have a family. So it's like there. She didn't do that to protect me or for any honesty reason. She did that so that I would get upset and divorce him and just leave him be. That was what she planned. Well, it went through another year or two, rigmarole, back and forth. He moved to Spain because he had a brother in Spain, and they had started a business. His brother had already had a business. So he went to establish a second business there in Spain with his brother backing it up. And then he got this wild idea that he was going to get wife number one to move to Spain. And then he'd have wife number two in Jordan. They did videos with everybody. I remember the video, they were walking and they were all smiling. They were saying, "Come Spain, Diana, come Spain." And there was the mother-in-law in the back kind of falling behind him. And she did not get with the program in that video. She still hated me. She did not want me going to Spain. She wanted me to divorce and get out of that picture. Oh my God. So you see, whenever I heard that she had passed, all I could do was give condolences. I said, "I'm sorry for your pain." He didn't go into any details because he knew I hated her. He knew that was all I could muster. But all I can say is, if she got to heaven, where my mother is, my mother prayed with her. I've seen my mother pray with people who mistreated me. She'd let her know just what kind of piece of shit she was peddling. So, alright, y'all. Y'all have a good Sunday afternoon. That's just telling my little thing about my mother-in-law, whom I'm glad is dead and probably in hell. Oh, I forgot to tell you this though. Wait, back up. Back the fuck up. That wife that she had worked up for her from Palestine. Families knew each other. That woman could not stand my ex-husband, and she could not stand my mother-in-law. And at one point, my mother-in-law tried to boss her so much that they got into an actual fight, and she had to slap the woman to get her off of her. Well, needless to say, they divorced, and they sent that woman back to Palestine. I was rooting for her. And then they found her one over in Morocco. A veteran people. The ones who live in the tents out in the desert. Right, Cameron? So to that woman, anything better than a tent was a good thing. So I'm so glad I'm here. Living a happy life. Okay, y'all have a good one.